So if you are somebody that goes to the police and reports your assault and you make it through the CPS process and you end up going to court, there's something about being in court that I think is really worthy of anybody knowing that is in that situation. So first of all, on day one in court would normally, to my understanding, always be the survivor's day to go on stand, whether that's openly like I did or behind a curtain or in a back room. I think there are some situations where people sometimes do it months in advance and the video is just played in court, but that's not relevant for what I'm saying right now. If you choose to be in court in person, something that people need to know is that it's based on a neutral environment. So everybody has equal rights to all the space. I maybe foolishly or naively, I don't know, but it just didn't cross my mind that it would operate like that inside the court. I just assumed there'd be two halves to the court for prosecution and defense, or they would have zoned off sections that you can't mingle in each ones, but it isn't like that at all. So for the whole week after being on stand, you just be casually walking down the corridor and you walk in towards your rapist. And he's there either with somebody or you're walking past on your own, or generally I was with my brother because after it happened the first time, he was like, you don't leave my side. You want to go to the bathroom? I'll come with you and I'll wait outside. You want to go and eat? We'll go together and we'll sit in the canteen together. So I was fortunate that I had a protective big brother there, even despite we're older now. But nonetheless, it's very destabilizing and very unsettling because in that situation, no matter how much work you have done to overcome the fear of seeing this person, it can't not trigger anxiety and cortisol, and your body naturally just goes into a fight or flight. Because as much as it seems like a casual thing, and it does feel a bit surreal sometimes because you're looking around going, I haven't seen that guy for decades, and now he's sat literally 5 meters away from me, if that. And I don't suppose it's too great for him either. But regardless, as a system, I just honestly don't think it's moral. And I don't think it's ethical that everybody is walking past each other. I mean, naturally, when I'm going to the bathroom, you just put your head down and you're walking along. I mean, what's the alternative? Yeah, you're right. You had a nice day. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I mean, what are you meant to do? You literally just have to lock your eyes on forward facing and just walk past them without any contact because it's just so bloody uncomfortable. And the thing is, as well, once you know that they're there, you can't forget that they're there. You can't unsee it. So you're forever looking over your shoulder. How far away are they? Are they in the other side of the corridor? Are they close by? What level of proximity are they? So you never really settle into that moment, just trying to be with your family and survive the week, basically. I can't imagine what that's like for my family as well. How does it feel for my parents to be sat there meters away from the man that raped their daughter? How does it feel for my brother to be sat there meters away from the man that raped his sister? My sister's in America, though she would have been there as well. But all my family and some friends were there. And some of my friends that were there, these are friends that I've had since childhood that spent a lot of time with this man as well. So it's uncomfortable for them. And I'd go as far as saying sometimes it's even a bit surreal because you've got people at the other end of the corridor eating a sandwich in the canteen. You've got barristers walking around and having meetings with each other or talking to one another in the corridor. You've got people on the phones just chatting casually. For other people, it's a very natural thing. For other people, it is quite a casual environment, but it is the least casual thing in the world when you're faced with somebody that traumatized you as a child. And now you're at war with them in a courtroom and you're just casually walking past them on the way to the loo. I just think that's wrong. And I do believe it should be separated between the two. I also believe that there is a difference between justice and safety. And when you're under the roof of a courthouse, it's certainly on the basis of justice, but I don't necessarily think for the survivor it feels like a safe environment. And it's just really important for me that this information is known. Firstly, I wish I'd have known this before I went in there. I wish somebody else had made a video about this. So I would have then possibly seen it before I walked into court and got the shock of my life when I'm just milling around with my rapist for a week. I will also add on that point, just before I forget, there is a possibility, of course, that the survivor can leave. Like they don't have to stay in court. But I chose to because I wanted to support my witnesses that were on stand the next day and the day after. And I wanted to spend time with my family in this very, very intense week. So I'm not going to try and make out that I was forced to stay, but I also wanted to stay, but I didn't realise the circumstances in order to stay would have to be navigating through that. And it's also worth me noting that I'm not an isolated case. Like, I'm not trying to make these videos to go, oh, poor me, that is the last thing I want. I certainly don't want anybody's sympathy on these types of things. What I'm trying to highlight is the way that the system operates, and this is the justice system. And if you are watching this and you are going into court, at least you might have an idea to prepare for it so you're not on the back foot like I was when it happened. And I believe this stuff has to change. I know that I can't change it on my own, and it might just be me ranting on a video at the end of the day. But at the end of it all, effectively, what we need is a place where the survivors have a situation where they're not faced eyeballing each other 4 or 5 times a day in a corridor outside the courtroom, that they're both basically battling it out within. And whether it changes or not, it can only change if we talk about it. And nothing can ever change in silence, which is why I'm making these videos. So at least then people are aware of it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm naming it and I'm calling it out. But other than that, until next time.